A beautiful waterfront is just one of the charms of this splendid destination. Leeds is not one of England's most famous cities, making this a hidden treasure, an authentic city that's not overcrowded with tourists. You are going to see it is a great place to visit, with a lively pedestrian zone featuring some classic old shopping arcades and lovely streets for walking, lined with shops and restaurants, with many people out enjoying a stroll or just sitting down for a drink. Classic architecture and one of the world's oldest museums add to the charms of Leeds. Then we'll show 3 nearby towns to visit on day trips by train: Harrogate, Skipton, and Knaresborough. It's easy to get to Leeds by train, about an hour and a half from Liverpool or 2 hours by fast train from London. Arriving on spacious platforms at the large, well-organized train station with a main lobby featuring the usual shops and dining, located right in the center of town. That puts you already into the pedestrian zone where you can begin your walking tour of the city, starting here at City Square with its landmark old post office now hosting a lovely restaurant, one of many outdoor eateries you'll find in the city center when the weather cooperates. The Corn Exchange, opened in 1863, now has shops and restaurants beneath a 38-meter-high dome of glass and cast iron. A more spectacular roof is found at the Victoria Quarter, one of several arcades that we will be walking through. It's located on Briggate, the city's major pedestrian street, and the other main street, Albion, along with various funky little side lanes. This is a very walkable city center with a compact size about half a square kilometer, and things to see on every street. Just south of the train station, you'll arrive at the Dark Arches below the tracks, with restaurants in the arcades underneath the railroad. Next to that is the canal and river with their delightful waterfront atmosphere. At Granary Wharf, with a fascinating history. The canal basin is a place for people to gather and relax in these beautiful surroundings. There are benches around. You can sit back and relax to enjoy the sights. Perhaps sit at one of the several outdoor restaurants and have a meal or just have a drink. The Leeds Canal Basin is a place where pleasure boats can tie up and dock for a while. Often these are boats that people can rent for a few days or weeks to travel along in the canals. You can wander and explore both sides of the canal basin, with walkways that you can stroll on all around the different parts of these docks. This is the very place that was the end location of England's longest and most important canal that ran from Liverpool to Leeds, 127 miles, using 91 locks. Construction began in Liverpool in the year 1770, and it reached Leeds just 7 years later. We still see some cranes that were used as part of the canal operation of loading and unloading cargo, part of the impressive historic preservation of the area. The last lock at the very end of the canal is still here and functioning 250 years after it was built. The stone building next to it, called the Granary, is just as old. It's all part of the complex called the Granary Wharf. Boats would leave this final lock of the canal and enter a river that would bring them all the way to the east coast of England, completing the journey from one side of the country to the other. Now we can just take a water taxi for a little cruise along the River Aire to Leeds Dock, another important place for cargo transfer in the old days. The water taxi is quite convenient. It saves you walking a mile and takes about 12 minutes. There's a boat coming every 12 minutes. It's a very pleasant, calm boat ride along the river, lined with old brick buildings that were used in the major cargo traffic in the old days. Now they're converted to apartments, offices, and restaurants, some with a waterfront view. You can also walk the route on the pedestrian promenade. You'll soon arrive at Leeds Dock, that was the major harbor for all of the cargo trade, where goods could be taken off the boats into storage or directly into the city or transferred to another boat to continue the journey. It was a very busy place with thousands of workers and lots of cranes hauling goods. Now it's a pleasure center where people can sunbathe, have a picnic, or travel on their canal boats. We can see on the map how this coast-to-coast route was instrumental in the economic development of England, because water was the most efficient way to carry cargo in those days before the railroads. This canal and river system was a water shortcut compared to a nautical journey around the country, north or south, to get from one side to the other. We'll see more of these impressive waterworks along the river with another boat ride later, but now we're going back into downtown and continue our explorations on foot. We're back at City Square next to the train station with the old post office on the other side and various grand buildings around it, including the Queen's Hotel where I stayed. Downtown is a compact area just about 500 meters across. The gray-colored streets are for pedestrians in the heart of the city center, making it very easy to explore on foot. If you walked 3 miles, you would see the whole thing. It's a delightful place to spend several hours wandering, or take a full day if you're busy shopping and having a meal. Commercial Street is a busy place. Albion is one of the 3 main north-south pedestrian lanes in the center, along with Land's Lane. Notice the delightful ambiance created by these wide-open spaces with benches to sit and relax, excellent paving underfoot of granite and concrete and stone, well maintained, very easy walking and no steep hills. It makes for one of England's most compelling pedestrian experiences, combining architectural splendor, historic sites, bustling shop with inviting plazas in this area shaped by centuries of commerce. Briggate is the most central and most important of all the streets in town, 20 meters wide and closed to vehicles ever since 1996. Queen's Arcade is one of several shopping plazas branching off from Briggate. It's a 2-story covered shopping passage with a glass vault roof and wrought iron balustrades running the entire length. Briggate continues north, getting more narrow and changing names to New Briggate, with wide sidewalks and outdoor dining. Sometimes called the Grand Old Lady of Leeds, this theater is a stunning cultural landmark blending history, architecture, and performance in the heart of the city. Leeds is a popular international destination, so it's typical to see groups of visitors from Asia, from the Americas, from all over Europe coming to enjoy this great city. Some of the small side streets like Marion are also blocked off from traffic, making a safe haven for pedestrians and outdoor dining. Parkside Tavern is popular with its outdoor garden and rooftop terrace surrounded by a half-timbered Tudor-style building. There are more Victorian-era shopping arcades in Leeds than any other city in England. The Victoria Quarter comprises 3 separate arcades connected together, covering 300 meters of fully enclosed space. Built between 1900 and 1904 in the Edwardian Baroque style, under a fully enclosed glass and iron roof. This modern stained glass and steel roof was added in the 1990s over what had been the open-air Victoria Street, adding a modern touch to the Victorian Quarter. Thornton's Arcade is also right here on Briggate, and up in New Briggate we've got the Grand Arcade. These covered walkways provide a relaxing shopping experience with vaulted glass roofs, colorful tile work, picturesque interiors, and sumptuous Victorian details. And they create shortcuts in mid-block. A contemporary version of an arcade is this leisure and retail center called The Light that opened in 2001, incorporating what had been 2 regular city streets and enclosing them under a glass roof. Radisson converted one of the historic buildings to a nice hotel, and the ZZ restaurant chain with 130 UK locations has a prime spot here, where I enjoyed a delicious vegetarian meatball lunch, part of their extensive Italian menu specializing in pizza. Along with various other restaurants, the Light also has a movie theater, health club, and offices upstairs. It's located on a busy street called the Head Row that forms the northern boundary of the main pedestrian zone of Leeds. Just around the corner on Park Row are a couple of places worth checking out, including an excellent wine bar called the Decanter. They offer a wine flight with a generous taste of 3 different varieties, in which the master bartender will explain to you all about the intricacies of that wine, enhanced by a cheese platter, also with low and no alcohol beverages. 1 block further along Park Row brings you to the popular Italian restaurant River Blue that TripAdvisor ranks number 21 out of nearly 2,000 restaurants in the city. You can dine al fresco at their terrace along the sidewalk, or enjoy the spacious dining room with lots of locals in there having a good time. Along with pasta, they've got a variety of pizzas and main dishes with fish or chicken or meat or vegetarian. You will never run out of food or beverage in Leeds. That completes our walking tour of the pedestrian center of Leeds. Now we're heading back to City Square and beyond to the canal for another boat ride while we consider the importance of that waterway to the history of the city. Then we'll visit the main museum and consider some day trip options to nearby cities. We're back at Granary Wharf and the Leeds Canal Basin, which was the endpoint of that long canal that came from Liverpool on the west coast. This was the crucial connection point that linked the canal and river with this final lock in the system. After passing through the lock and onto the river, the canal boats traveled a short passage to Leeds Dock, where cargo was transferred to larger boats for the trip along the river to the North Sea. Now we get to ride along that route on the River Aire between the basin and Leeds Dock in the convenient water taxi, with a view from the river of that final lock in the canal. The water taxi takes just about 12 minutes to go 1 mile along a scenic route that goes by some former warehouses now converted into deluxe apartments and restaurants, connecting Granary Wharf with Leeds Dock. Origins of the River Aire are north in the Yorkshire Dales, where it helped to power the industrial factories and textile mills of the day, but it's only here that it became navigable for cargo boats. Because it joined here with the Leeds and Liverpool Canal, it formed that superhighway that connected England from one side to the other, making Leeds a very wealthy and important center of the country throughout the 18th and 19th centuries. The convenient path that pedestrians enjoy along the river would have been used earlier by horses pulling the boats. Today it seems the main river traffic is for tourists and pleasure boaters, but in the old days, a huge variety of cargo was transported on the river, with coal and wool as the 2 main items, brought down from the coal mines and the sheep farms of Yorkshire. Some of that remained in Leeds, fueling the industrial boom with textile manufacturing. Those fabrics were then shipped out by river and canal. A variety of goods were only transferred here and then moved on to other ports in England and Europe, including grains, timber, machinery, and chemicals, with Leeds merchants dominating the Yorkshire shipping economy. Even today, a lot of commercial cargo is shipped on this river, including consumer products and construction materials like sand, gravel, and limestone. We have arrived at Leeds Dock, which was an important transshipment center where goods from the smaller canal boats would be transferred to larger boats that would travel along the River Aire and on out to the North Sea, with the same process in reverse for incoming goods transferred from larger ships to canal boats, making this a very busy inland harbor. Now it's become a major recreational area. Notice water flowing over the weir in the background because the river changes in elevation, requiring a series of locks starting here and extending along the river to make it navigable. This lock is operated with a key which makes it open mechanically. You don't have to manually crank a windlass, as found in many locks, to open the gate. Canal boating has become very popular in England and throughout Europe, with a revival of these ancient waterways that were created back in the 18th century and continued thriving till the mid-19th century. But then railroads were invented and came in and largely replaced the canals for shipping goods. Then highways and trucking took all of the rest of the business, which led to a near abandonment of the canal system and collapse of the infrastructure to the point they were no longer navigable. Later in the 20th century, the canals were rescued and rebuilt thanks to the interest of pleasure boaters who loved to travel in their canal boats. Leeds has enjoyed a big revival with an annual traffic of about 10,000 pleasure crafts, further enhanced by waterfront recreation, green parks, walking paths, and outdoor dining, all of which has helped revitalize this city. In recent decades, the redevelopment of the Leeds Dock area has gone well beyond just recreational to creating a vast new residential and commercial complex with thousands of residents and workers in a well-planned urban community functioning like a new town in the city. This transformation represents a shift from industrial heritage towards a mixed-use cultural district with waterside living as its defining characteristic, a contemporary ambiance that reflects broader trends in modern city living. The architectural style emphasizes mid-rise apartments with density typical of modern urban regeneration and dining establishments that capitalize on this with waterside views and outdoor terrace seating, getting maximum value out of what had previously been an industrial zone and underutilized land. The atmosphere is vibrant and energetic, yet surprisingly peaceful compared to the city center. It offers the benefits of city living without the constant hustle and bustle, a creative district in a highly walkable neighborhood with scenic waterfront paths and easy access to boating activities. When the water taxi arrives at the dock, it's very easy to step out of the boat and onto the plaza with a waterfront promenade and outdoor restaurants, and that leads right into the major museum, which forms another important part of the regeneration of Leeds Dock. It's the Royal Armouries, with a collection that constitutes England's oldest museum, with origins dating back to the 15th century when the collection was housed at the Tower of London. This elephant armor is the only known surviving example of its type in any public collection in the world, made in India back in the late 16th century. The museum houses over 70,000 objects with a focus on arms, armor, artillery, and firearms. It became too large a collection for the Tower of London to handle, and so the artifacts were transferred to Leeds and installed in this new building, which opened in 1996. The building is 5 stories high with a layout specifically tailored to the collection, displayed thematically across 5 galleries. One of the most dramatic displays shows tournament armor, including some associated with Henry VIII. The focus here is on jousting and battlefield armor, combining artistic craftsmanship and functional design. There are some hands-on activities like getting dressed up in armor and posing for some pictures. The museum provides daily live shows outdoors in their small amphitheater with combat demonstrations, along with other educational programming. When finished with your visit, take that water taxi back to the center. It's the same route from the other direction, equally beautiful. There are just a couple more things to share with you before we end our visit to Leeds. I've mentioned how easy it is to visit several other nearby cities by train on day trips returning to Leeds for the night. You can visit Knaresborough, Harrogate, and Skipton, each of them less than 1 hour away by train.
The view of the railroad viaduct in Knaresborough. It's one of the great vistas in all the British Isles.
And there's a pleasant old-fashioned market square in the center of this little town.
Easy to get here if you're staying in Leeds. You can take a direct train, takes about 45 minutes.
The train wasn't very crowded when I was riding, and there was beautiful views looking out the window at the green rolling countryside of Yorkshire. Harrogate is our next destination, just 10 minutes away by train. The town center combines Victorian and Edwardian architecture with modern shops, cafes, and restaurants, with several pedestrian-friendly streets and parks that make it easy to explore. One of the most famous attractions is Betty's Cafe Tea Rooms, founded in 1919. Dine in or take away. And the town offers many other dining options. Harrogate was famous as a spa town with therapeutic healing. Now it offers a balance of relaxation, history, and outdoor activity with a compact setting. To get to our next town, Skipton, we backtrack to Leeds, change trains, and carry on north to this town that's also located on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal, where you can take a canal boat ride, as we'll show you in a moment, after having a quick look around town. Skipton is a market town with a castle, some pedestrian lanes, and the high street. It blends medieval history with traditional charm. The High Street is the heart of town and one of its main attractions, lined with historic stone buildings and traditional shop fronts. Skipton Castle is a well-preserved medieval site and highlight for visitors. It later played a key role during the English Civil War, and yet it was never destroyed and remains largely intact, offering this rare opportunity to enter inside a medieval fortification. The town itself is likewise a historical monument with these beautiful old stone buildings and traditional Yorkshire architecture. The Leeds and Liverpool Canal is the other great attraction in Skipton, where you can even rent your own canal boat for the day, or just join one of the regular 45-minute boat tours. It's quite satisfying to be on the same canal that we saw 29 miles away back in Leeds. It kind of ties the whole trip together. We have seen that Leeds is worth some quality time to explore at least a couple of days so that you can see the city itself and some of these nearby towns. There is one hotel that has an entrance from inside the Leeds train station. Find your way to that little entryway, then ring the buzzer, and they'll unlock the door to the lobby. It's the Queen's Hotel where I stayed for a couple of nights, enjoying very friendly service.
Yeah, you're right.
Right in the heart of town, it's the perfect spot to spend the night and rest up, to get ready for your next adventure. We frequently upload new movies, so please subscribe to our channel and click that little alarm bell so you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. Or if you have questions about the destination, make note and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.